so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and congratulations on the book. I can see you bought it with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. This book was published last year on my 70th birthday, and I was very keen that it should be a biography as well as a kind of a business book, because I also believe that it's really your past that determines your future and your present, and so it's very important. The values on which you are brought up, the kind of experiences that you have in your childhood, they actually then grow also as you grow as an entrepreneur later on, or as a doctor. So I believe that a lot of the past is equally important, and I've captured that as well in my biography.
Yeah, and we're definitely really looking forward to that, because like you said, you have worn many different hats: entrepreneur, doctor. So family, of course, is a very important student at some point. There's so much changes going on, and to capture that all in a book can seem very difficult, to find those key moments that kind of stick out, and also remove something. You never know what people are going to be inspired by, or what moments even you remember more.
Talking about student, I went to Harvard when I was 60. I was one of the oldest students who did a course in medical excellence when I was 60 years old.
Oh, that's inspiring itself.
Yeah, so I think it's always good to learn, and it's good to continue learning. So.
Absolutely. Could you tell me a little bit about how has the perception of homeopathy changed in your career?
Well, it's changed a lot. When I started practicing in 1974, which is almost 50 years ago, people really didn't believe so much in homeopathy. You had to be really, very passionate about it. You had to actually talk about it just like how missionaries do, capture up people, convince them about the goodness of homeopathy. Today, a lot of it is the fastest growing medicine today in the world. It's the second largest system of medicine in the world according to WHO. So I think there's been a lot of change in the perception. Today people are all moving towards integrated medicine. So today complementary medicine, as it is called, is actually also part of mainstream medicine in many countries. So I would say yes, there's been a very, very strong positive image change and a change in the acceptance of homeopathy across the world.
Absolutely. And in your book itself, can you tell me a little bit about some of the most important moments that you've tried to capture in the book that you would like people to maybe pay attention more to than others?
Well, I've tried to capture everything that I could in a short period of time. I try to keep the book, keeping the Insta generation today, and the 2-minute generation. I try to make sure that each chapter is not more than 3-4 pages. So I try to keep every chapter as an incident from which one could learn, and every chapter is a very important part of my life. So whether it was my business life or whether it was my personal life, I think all are very important. But I really believe that my childhood, which actually shaped my career and my life, was very, very important. So I think also the way I've written the book, not just short chapters, but also very descriptive. So it's almost like a screenplay. So when you're actually, reading this book, you can actually imagine what Agra was during the time when I was brought up there. You can imagine World War II when my Nana left Burma and came. And I'm also happy to tell you that, based on this book, I now have a play which is opening Prithvi Theatre in January 24th in Bombay, based on this book and on my life. And we've already had a show earlier. We have 4 shows coming up now at the Tata as well as at the Prithvi next year. So, and I'm saying this because, it's very, 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 very vivid and very visual, the way it is written. So it's almost like actually watching a film. And that's why I would recommend that. I think that's a very important part of the book. A, is very visual, very vivid, and B, it has lots of life lessons. And it actually talks just not about my success, but also a lot about my failures. Because I actually believe that failures are the stepping stone to success, and people don't talk about failures. Everybody, you just imagine the guy's there, but you don't know how he got there, and you don't think about that. So this book is all about the failures, the losses, and how I overcame them as well. And of course, based on the foundation of my life.
Congratulations so much on having that happen for you, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing that too. And I can imagine it'll be slightly different because you have another person, a different perspective also coming into your life and your experiences. And that being said, now that you have finished the book and there is going to be this production also coming up, is there anything you wish you could have added more or elaborated more on that maybe we can see in the upcoming shows, or maybe in another book?
Well, I'm hoping that I can make this into an OTT. I'm still looking forward for some offers coming, because I believe that the story is very inspirational. Having said that, I already have 7 chapters written which have been cut out for lack of space, and because of commercial reasons which are more on my personal life, not on the business side. And I'm sure that I could add that somewhere at a later stage or another book as well.
Is there any other author or books that you have read that kind of inspired you while you were writing or before you even started?
Not really. I really never read a lot as a child, honestly. But and of course I was very fond of literature. I mean, I got among the highest marks, not in my college, but in the entire Cambridge University on literature. I knew Shakespeare by heart because that was the book that we were, asked to read. And not just Julius Caesar, which was my book of choice, but all of Shakespeare's works. I knew all the soliloquies by heart. So I actually, I came from Agra, where my language, where the primary language was actually Hindi. And I joined in the 6th standard in Bombay, schooling. And so there was a huge mental challenge to actually start. I would think in Hindi and I would talk in English. So there was a challenge over there. And to overcome that challenge, I actually read a lot and trained myself in English language. And I do believe that during that phase, I read a lot. But after that, I was only reading medical books. Because, as a doctor, you have to upgrade yourself. You have to keep reading all the time. And, one volume is like so thick, maybe, 6 times this book. So your life was consumed by medicine. And after that, it was consumed by practice. So there's really very little time to read. Having said that, I actually started reading again. Of course, when I wrote my book 3 years ago, jointly with Ashwin Sanghi, who's a celebrated author, 13 Steps to Bloody Good Health. And that also was a bestseller. So I started then reading all about health and fitness, because before I write a book, I have to do a lot of research. So I have to read it myself. And during that phase then, when I was asked to write my autobiography, I then read almost all the autobiographies of all the people, because I wanted to know what not to write and what to exclude. And which is why, like I said, that my book is not about born so-and-so, to be dead so-and-so, but really all about a life's journey and what one can learn from it, and set in very interesting, story clips. And so that was the idea. The idea of a biography is not, clinical biography, as we say in medicine, but actually experiential biography. Share the experiences of life and put them in easy language for people to understand and to follow.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And I think people do say, right, that you write the book that you wish you could have read or you wish you would have had. So, I think that's really good to hear from you. But, you did mention earlier about how homeopathy was considered alternative medicine. Now it's becoming more common practice. And I think there's a lot of practices like that which are, alternative. And now that research is being done, they can probably be used in commonplace. Is there any research or any kind of medical practices that you're kind of looking forward to hearing more about in the future?
The future of medicine is going to be totally different. It's going to be totally IT dependent. It's going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to be variables on what you have on your wrist. It's going to be home treatment. People are getting older, but they're not necessarily getting fitter. So there's going to be a lot of shift in the kind of practice that we have today. And alternative medicine is more geared for that, because today lots of problems are social problems. They're not just medical problems. They're also psychosomatic, because there's so much of stress in people's lives. And people are more and more looking for holistic medicine. So they're actually looking for a backache, not just as a physical backache, but something which is coming from mental stress. So unless you treat a person in its entirety and look at the social fabric as well, and try to see what you can do emotionally as well as social as well as physical, you then get the right answer. So really people are now looking for treating from the root, which is what homeopathy does. It's one such system of medicine. And therefore, more and more people are turning towards it. Also, people are looking for safety, because there are so many side effects of modern medicine today. People are actually looking for safer forms of treatment, which are safer, holistic, cost-effective, and easily available. And I think homeopathy fits the bill.
Absolutely. And my final question to you is, if people could take away only one thing from your book, because you did say it's about life lessons, what would you want them to take away from it?
Just 2 P's, passion and purpose. And I think both are important. Anything that you do with passion. कदम चूम लेती है मंजिल आकर, कदम चूम लेती है मंजिल आकर, अगर राही खुद अपनी हिम्मत न हारे. So when you do things with passion and when you do it with purpose, when you have a reason to believe and a reason to do something, you'll always come out tops.
I think that was really well said. Thank you so much, sir.